I just have to start the live streaming and then we'll be good.
Okay.
Mayor's having a little trouble with his iPad, so he'll be on just a
Okay.
second.
All right.
Okay, I have it started. So if you want to
Okay.
open.
Great. Good morning. This is the Monday, May 24th council workshop. Today, the agenda includes the InterGov steering committee update and construction fee updates. Mr. City Manager, would you like to say a few words, or should we turn it directly over to Anna Whipple?
Yeah, I think we can actually turn it over to Anna. This was a topic that many of you had asked about for an update. So Anna, I'll hand it right over to you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilwoman Westergaard and Scott. I will share my screen here. Okay, are you ready for me to share?
Yes.
Good morning, Kay.
Good morning, Mayor County. Westergaard went ahead and opened the meeting. If you want to say a few words, that's fine too.
No, that's fine. Let's go ahead.
Okay.
Cheers, Anna.
Good. Great. Good morning, Mayor, members of the City Council, city staff, and members of the public who are joining us this morning. I'm Anna Whipple. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the city. And this morning, I'm going to be giving you an update on a highly anticipated software update that we're doing. The software product is called InterGov, and it replaces our legacy permitting, licensing, and inspection software. I also have on the call this morning some members of our steering committee who can answer questions later if you've got particular process questions. I'm just going to give you the overview of the project and a little idea of what the software does. The good news here is that we are moving ahead to a go live date of June 21st. So this is going to kind of give you an idea of what's coming. We don't have anything to demo for you today, but that will be coming within about a month. And what you see on screen right now is just a example screen from the software of what a building reviewer would look like, a building permits reviewer. And they'd have multiple cases waiting for them, and then this kind of dashboard to show them what is in progress. InterGov is a web-based product, which means it works in a web browser for both city staff and for the public, but it also works in a mobile device. So we will go ahead here. Okay. So the product that we're replacing is called Tidemark, and it is 20 years old. So to say the least, it is not modern software. It's really at its end of life. We don't have support for it anymore. And that was the motivation to do a needs assessment back in 2016 and 2017, and then go out for RFP to select a new product. The city chose InterGov from Tyler Technologies, and the council approved that in August 2018. It was an estimated 2-year implementation at the outset. So we were looking at a late 2020 go live originally, but COVID and some other circumstances, including some major issues on the vendor side with cybersecurity, pushed that go live to June of this year. This is about $2 million software project. It's been budgeted in CIP, and for the implementation and support of InterGov, we've brought on 2 additional IT staff, an application analyst and a business analyst. Those positions are being made permanent in the operating budget. So we'll have those people on board and supporting InterGov going forward. It is going to be a a living product for many years to come. So we need that additional support. And there are a lot of departments that are impacted by InterGov or have some business process that they do that's going to be in InterGov. But the departments that are most impacted are the ones that you see listed here. And this screen is just an example of how the workflows in InterGov will route projects from one team to the next when they're doing something like development review. Our project goals were pretty simple. We really needed to get off of Tidemark, this 20-year-old system. So that's the foremost goal of this. But going to something more modern means that we can improve efficiency for our customers and for our staff. This includes an online customer self-service portal where people can submit applications, review the progress on their applications, make payments, make service requests. And again, this is a living product, so we'll continue to add functionality to it over time. Another major component to InterGov is the mobility for field staff. So inspectors will be able to go out with mobile apps and do their work in the field. And then we'll also have better reporting capabilities on the data in the InterGov database. And overall, we will be reducing paperwork for customers and staff alike. If Tyler Technology sounds familiar, it's because we have been a Tyler customer for a while. Our financial and human resources and facilities asset management system is also a Tyler product. It's called Munis. And one of the reasons we chose InterGov is because of the integration between InterGov and Munis. There's more direct integration for things like cashiering from InterGov to the financial system. So InterGov kind of layers on top of Munis, and they actually share some software components. The InterGov implementation at this point includes 3 major modules: code enforcement, permitting and land management, and license and regulatory management. The permitting and land management covers things like site review as well. There are listed on this screen and the next screen 45 existing business processes that we do in Tidemark today that are being converted to InterGov, and that's just a sample. We are actually going to be converting about 70 plus workflows in InterGov. And as I mentioned, this is a product that is fully supported. Tyler is making updates to it every year, and we'll be able to upgrade it, keep it up to date, where Tidemark has sort of been a dead product and we can't really make changes to it. We will be able to add more processes to InterGov over time. InterGov also not only just takes our old processes out of Tidemark and moves them into the new platform, but it adds some much needed functionality for us. We can do digital plan reviews, so we won't have to accept plans on paper only. They can be submitted digitally and marked up in a digital format. We can integrate our document management. So there's one of those Tyler components on the back end is a document management system. I already mentioned the cashiering and online payments that are also integrated with Munis. Recently, Polk County made a major update to their parcel numbering scheme, and the parcel data will load directly into InterGov. So we should not have a disconnect between historical data and the new parcel data. Everything in InterGov will be linked to a location on the map, and there's a GIS maps component to InterGov too. A couple new things that the city will be able to offer. We'll be able to issue right-of-way permits instead of a block by block or street by street permit. We can do a large geographic area.
and submit one permit, or applicants can submit one permit for an area. I mentioned the customer self-service that'll be online and the mobile inspections that our staff will be able to do. It does support the new rental management licensing program that we have. And we'll be able to do reports and offer more public information where people can go and look up information for themselves. To give you an idea of the scale of this project, we're converting 70 existing workflows. We've already built 40 reports, but there are more coming. We've got 6 departments who are involved in the most intensive part of the implementation and testing, but then other support departments are working closely with them as well. We have 48 staff members who are currently doing user acceptance testing and testing the data. We did decide to bring forward the historical data from Tidemark into InterGov. So there's a big conversion effort that's really kind of well on its way at this point. We'll do a final conversion at cutover time, but our users have to not only look at the functionality of the software, but they have to look at the data too and make sure that it's been converted properly. Those testers have already received 200+ hours of training. That's a total for all of the testers. And in the weeks leading up to go live, we've got 180 staff who need to be trained and ready to use the product when we cut over. There's not a period of time where we will be doing dual entry or any kind of overlap in Tidemark and InterGov. We'll shut off Tidemark and we'll go live with InterGov. So training is a big deal. This is the overall view of the project. You can see the major phases in the project are listed on the left in the larger arrows. We've already completed phase 1 and 2, the initiate and plan and the assess and define. We're at the end of the build and configure stage. So doing those last bits of data conversion validation and report validation. And now we're also into the final testing phase. So those last 3 phases are really what's to come. We're going to be doing end user training from June 1st through the 17th. That final data conversion takes place over a couple days, June 16th through 18th. And then on Monday, June 21st, Tidemark will be gone and city staff will begin doing business in InterGov on Monday, June 21st. So what does that mean? What does that impact look like? On June 17th, we will actually shut off Tidemark. And at that point, we'll not be able to enter data into InterGov and we'll not be able to enter data into Tidemark. So there's going to be sort of a blackout date there where we won't be able to fully process applications. But permit applications, other kinds of applications can still be submitted using the forms that we have on our website. They will have to sit and maybe we could start some review, but they won't be entered into the system until InterGov is live on June 21st. This works out that the city offices are closed on June 18th for the Juneteenth holiday. So really there's only one day, June 17th, when we won't be able to fully process applications in one day. And then at the same time, we will go live with the customer self-service portal. And you'll see this introduced in phases. I've got some more information on that shortly, but on day 1, customers will be able to create accounts in the self-service portal. Some permit applications will be available on that first day and people can begin submitting applications that way. Other applications are still, those forms will be converted and added into InterGov over the course of the summer. And because Intergov is a living product, we do have some updates already that are waiting for us, both on the Tyler back end and the Intergov software. So I just want you to be aware that this is not a one-time rollout and we're done. There will be other updates coming, not nearly as impactful to business as this first go live. Here's a glance at that customer self-service portal and some of the things that people will be able to do. Create an account, apply for their permit, plan, or license. They can monitor the progress on their application, make payment for their application, view their documents, upload their documents, but then also search public records, either doing a query or looking at a map. There's also a calendar feature for seeing when major meeting dates are coming up. And then in the future, they'll also be able to request an inspection. So what will this look like for our customers? We want to be transparent about this and recognize that this is a big change. And where we made that switch from our old finance and HR system to Munis a few years ago, that was pretty behind the scenes, and our customers didn't have to interact with the software. It didn't impact them directly. Intergov is different because it does have a customer impact. And I think we've all been there where we've worked with a service provider, maybe a doctor's office or some other provider, when they've been going through a major software upgrade, and that will be us in a couple weeks. So what can people expect? Staff will be occupied in training for the first part of June, the 1st through the 17th. So there may be some delays during that time. And as I mentioned, people will be able to submit applications right up until our go live date. Those may be in a backlog, and city staff will have to enter those into the system after go live. So there could be a small backlog that we need to work through too. As people are getting used to doing their jobs differently in a completely different platform, we can expect that there will be some longer processing times. It's really hard to predict what those are right now. We've asked Tyler for some background information to see what have other customers experienced, but in the end, it's really about our staff getting up to speed and being able to do their job even more efficiently than before once they get the hang of the software. And because there is this customer service portal, we imagine that some of our customers will need some help too. So they'll be teaching the customers at the same time that they're learning the software. We are developing some training videos that we can make available to the public, help them walk through the self-service portion of this. And as we introduce new online options after the go live date, we'll keep that information fresh so people can walk through the steps of what they need to do. Some suggestions that we would have for our customers: you can submit your applications and your inspection requests anytime, and if you're ready with them, we would encourage you to do that early. And watch the city communications and announcements for go live information and progress on go live or new features that we're rolling out. It will be a phased approach. The biggest of those phases is June 21st, when a whole bunch of change happens, but then there'll be some changes after that too. And those self-service tutorials will be posted on the city website. So we'll do everything we can to make it easy for people to find that information. And some of the ways that we're planning to do that would be press releases on our website, also targeting email lists or certain groups. Because Intergov is such a diverse product, not all of our customers are the same. You know, they have different things that they need to do and different processes or different business that they need to conduct with the city. So our outreach will be tailored to particular groups like neighborhood groups, professional associations like developers or the building trades. And then we'll have videos available to everybody. We are considering how we can make that information, at least the essential information, available in Spanish also. The customer self-service portal will only be available in English to start with. So we have some workarounds that we need to think through, but InterGov does support forms in multiple languages. We just haven't had the training on how to build that yet. So that will be one of the future enhancements. At this point, I want to recognize people who have made a tremendous effort to bring this project about. We have department directors from across the city on the steering committee. I really want to mention by name the folks on the implementation team: Cody Christensen, Joe Hyman, Hope Lovera, Marlene Sigmund, and Mary Lee Woods. Hope has been shouldering most of the technical work on this. We're really fortunate to have her. She came to us from City of Cedar Rapids, which is also a InterGov customer. So she already had experience with the software. And I can tell you that she's a stickler. So I know that the quality of our implementation has been really good. And Joe came to IT from the library, also with a lot of experience in rolling out new technologies that affect the public. So he's been the business analyst behind the scenes on all of this. And then Cody has really been the subject matter expert and business champion for this implementation. Marlene and Mary Lee are managers in the IT department and have really provided that executive function in making sure that things were going well with the vendor. So I want to really give them a pat on the back for making it this far. And of course, we have a lot of people all across the city who are involved in this: process owners and testers, our GIS and database teams, our Munis ERP teams, the help desk and server teams also have a role to play behind the scenes here. Finance, legal, and PIO, everybody has been pitching in. It's definitely an all hands effort. So with that, I will take your questions, and if I'm not able to answer a particular process question, we can refer it to another person on the call if they're available to take that question.
All right, thank you, Anna. Anybody have any questions? Council? And at the moment, I'm not seeing anybody's hand up. Well, Carl. Go ahead, Carl.
Oh, thank you, Mayor County. I think I have 3 questions. Do most of the city staff that will be working in the field, do they already have tablets that will talk to the new software, InterGov?
Yes, we are supplying iPads and some Surface tablets to the different inspector teams. So they will be able to do inspections and enter violations in the field.
Okay, thank you. For the City Hall and staff members that have chosen to work from home, how will their training and ability to use this, how does that change the landscape for you and your staff?
Well, I think we're still kind of living into that. You might say we're really getting out of the emergency phase of working from home and into the more long-term or permanent part-time work from home. So that
that playing field changes across the city, whether this is an InterGov user or not. I think InterGov doesn't present a particular hurdle because it is web-based, so it should be easier to deliver the software to the users if they happen to be working remotely.
Okay, and just one more question, Anna. In the peer group of other cities that use this software, could you just name off a few other cities? I gather you're talking to them and figuring things out, and you have a discussion board or whatever, so.
Yeah, I haven't been involved directly in those sort of user groups, but I know that Tyler has a very active community of users. Some that I know of just off the top of my head that we spoke to when we were selecting the product: Cedar Rapids, Kansas City, I believe both Polk County and West Des Moines also use InterGov. So it's pretty ubiquitous. It's a well-known product. It's been around for a long time. So I feel confident we can reach out to a lot of different cities, either smaller or similar in size to us, or even larger, to get information. But our experience with Tyler, since we've been a Tyler customer for a while now, is that they do have a lot of opportunities to get customers talking to each other, annual conferences, things like that. So we will definitely be doing the care and feeding that's necessary for this software.
You're feeling pretty good about that aspect of it then? Okay.
Yes. Mhm.
And
Thank you.
Councilmember Voss, this is Cody Christensen. We have been in communication with a lot of the communities that Anna mentioned. And in fact, that was one of the considerations that was determined to be beneficial when we were selecting this software for the city of Des Moines, is that in the Midwest, there are a number of other cities, and even in the state of Iowa, there's a number of other cities that use this software. So we're looking forward to being able to go live with it and work with those other communities that have already solved some challenges. And we feel that that's going to be beneficial to both the city and also the customers who may do business in these other communities as well, using similar software systems.
All right, terrific. Thank you, Corey, for jumping in on that.
All right, anybody else? Joe, I saw your hand up for a minute.
Carl asked my question about the other cities. So good
All right,
question. Good work by staff. Thank you.
All right. Anna, to you and your team, thank you very much. Appreciate the, well, wait a minute. I see Connie's hand up now. Connie, go ahead.
I was going to ask time savings and efficiency compared to what you had before. You guys, the departments that have gone on, have they been able to or test to see what the advantages have been?
I don't think that we've really tried to measure that at this point. But that's a good question. We should be able to, as soon as we get going on the software, kind of clock how long it takes us to do processes like a permit review and process an application. That will be, we can look at that in a report and be able to kind of get some metrics on that. But that we'll have to measure from the go live forward, and hopefully we'll see, particularly as we get used to the software and our customers get used to these new processes, because it will be completely different, that we'll get more and more efficient over time. We haven't attempted to measure that at this point. I don't think it would be very good data at this point.
No, I was just curious if some of the people that have been practicing on it have seen a marked difference. So
At this point, we can provide some conceptual feedback. The way that our systems function today, we take in either a PDF application form through email or some other electronic form, or a paper copy. And all of the data that's shown on that application form is manually entered into the software by city staff. One of the big benefits that one of the time-saving measures of the new software will be the customer self-service portal, where we have the ability to push customers to that portal, and they enter all of that data once, and it's automatically pushed into the system. So I think in the long run, we'll see a lot of data entry time savings. But to be very realistic, there's going to be some short-term pain before we see that long-term gain, because we will have to train the customers as well as our own staff on how to navigate these systems. So I think out of the gates, we're probably going to see a slowdown in processing just because of the transition. Everyone's used to running the system that we're on. We've been doing that for the last 20 years. So it's going to take a little while to get them to switch over to this new system with new concepts and new structure. And also they will be spending a lot of time initially assisting our customers through that process as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right, again, team, thank you for the update. Look forward to getting some feedback as to how it's working, and I'm sure it's going to be a great advance after 20 years of working on the old system. So thank you for the update. Scott, unless you have anything else, let's move on to the construction permit fee updates.
Yeah, no, nothing else. So I think Cody and others are going to speak to that.
Yep.
All right.
And I'm actually going to share my screen again. We just have it all in one presentation. So I will take over, and Cody, just let me know how you want to advance the slides.
All right, thank you, Anna. We're seeing your slideshow here, Anna, or your notes pages. There we go. Okay, Mayor and members of City Council, good morning. My name is Cody Christensen, the Permit Development Administrator, and as Anna said, been working on the EnerGov project for ages, it seems like. We're getting ready to go live with that, and with the EnerGov project, we're also proposing some new fee structures for residential construction permits to go along with EnerGov and make the process a little more smooth and a little more predictable. First off, a little history. Right now, all of our permit fees are calculated based off of a square footage calculation or a calculation based on the number of trades elements, so the number of fixtures, the number of circuits, and so on. And we're proposing to switch that structure for the single family residential permits to more of a flat rate fee structure. Some of the goals are to make our fees more predictable and reduce some of the processes that are associated with processing our permits, and also maintain fees that are consistent with what we've done over the past 3 years. What you'll see in the next few slides are the fee calculations or the fee numbers that we're proposing. And we arrived at those by calculating the average amount of fees that we've collected over the past 3 years for these types of permits. Next slide, please. So on this slide, you'll see the proposed fees for new single family homes, new duplexes, new townhomes. These fees are the only ones that we're proposing to change. We're going to leave the multifamily construction permit fees and the commercial construction permit fees as they are today. For the new homes, the proposal is to break these into 3 tiers, kind of a small, medium, and large home fee structure. And the fee amounts would be determined by calculating, there's still a little bit of calculation involved. And that fee amount is determined based on calculating the total amount of finished floor area that does not include the basement, does not include the attached garage. We've also proposing the same thing for the trades permits to have a flat fee structure for the plumbing, electrical, and mechanical trades permit fees. And we have those broken out into a couple of different elements, because some of the trades permits, we don't have just a single permit that's issued for a new home. We may have a couple of contractors that do a couple of different portions of that work. So these are the fees that you see here. Next slide, please. Other flat rate fees that we're proposing are covered on this slide. Home additions, home remodels, new detached accessory structures such as garages and storage buildings. And then some of the more simple and more common stuff, the decks, the fences, retaining walls, hot tubs, and swimming pools. And what you'll notice in our proposal is that in general, a renovation to an existing single family home for any trades permit is going to run about $75. For the more complex permits that require a little more staff time to do the review and have more elements that need to be looked at, those permit fees are a little higher, such as the remodels, the interior remodels, and then the home additions that are increasing the footprint. But what you can count on with this fee structure is that if you're going to finish your basement, that building permit fee is going to be $150. If you're going to build a detached garage, that permit fee would be $175, and so on. Next slide, please. Other permit fees that are coming along with this proposal are a fee for extending permits. We do extend a number of permits during every year, and some of the goals here with some of the things that you see on this slide are to cover some of the costs of the extra additional staff time that's spent performing these operations. We're also proposing to charge a temporary certificate of occupancy fee. We process anywhere from 130 to 200 temporary certificates of occupancy every year. And those come for a number of reasons. Many are weather related. Oftentimes it's a short, quick closing, and the temporary certificate of occupancy is needed before all of the work can be done. And what that generates is additional staff time to track those, to follow up on them, and additional trips to the job site to verify that the remainder of the work has been completed after that temporary certificate has been issued. An after hours inspection fee, and a flat rate fee structure for demolition permits.
Cody, do you want to take questions as you go along? I see Joe's hand up.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Joe.
Thanks, Cody. And I asked this question Friday. I'll probably get an answer to everyone, but it might be best to just ask it now. What is these rates compared to what the rates were before? Is there a significant increase? Is it the same? Is it? Talk to me a little bit about, as you go back a couple slides, the building permits, the additions, and things like that.
Yep. Anna, would you be able to back up a couple of slides here? We'll start with this slide. So Joe, what we did is we pulled the data from our current permit software, and we track the square footages on all of these new homes and duplexes and townhomes. And of course, we have the fee values that are in there too. So the way that we came to these numbers is we ran an average over the past 3 years. So what you're seeing here are the average permit fees that we've collected for all of these permits over the past 3 years. So it's very consistent with where we have been with what we're charging. Now, what is a little different is that you have a range. So we did the average permit fee for all homes up to 1,200 square feet of finished area, and the average for the next slot, the 1,200 to 2,000 square feet, and then the 2,000 square feet plus. So it's very consistent with what we have been charging. The same thing for the trades permits and the permits on the following slide as well. Linda?
Yes, sir. For go back to the plumbing for not new homes, but say I want to put a sump pump in my house.
Mhm.
What was I paying previously for a permit to come down to put a sump pump in my basement?
So previously, just for a sump pump, you would have paid $65. And
Okay.
so for a permit like that, you're seeing an increased fee of $10 because under the proposed schedule, it would be 75.
Okay, so I'm gonna pay a little bit more to utilize the program that the city offers for sump pumps.
You would be in that case.
Okay, and then when you talk about this temporary CO fees, what I find somewhat concerning is the only time I've seen temporary certificate of occupancy is due to weather, when they just simply cannot get sod put down. And I'm concerned because we are in a drought, and what if we have to put something in place that says nobody can water their yards? New construction people simply cannot use water to lay sod. And so they would be forced to not put down sod and not be, because we wouldn't allow them to use water. Would we still be charging them $100? I mean,
Under this proposal, we would be, and that's really the reason for bringing this before all of you today, is to get some feedback on this, and also give you the opportunity to suggest changes. But yes, under the current proposal, it's just a flat $100 charge for any temporary certificate of occupancy.
I just don't want to give somebody a pass just because they don't get the home done. But if it truly is something that cannot be done, I'm concerned about charging $100 for something that cannot be avoided. If there's a drought and we can't water our lawns, or water lawns for new homes, I'm not sure that we want to charge them $100.
Mayor, if I could, this is Scott. The reason for that, Councilwoman, is that there's still the additional cost of staff going out to the site. And so that's the reason that we would still have the.
Yeah, but you've already collected $1,050 from them for their building permit. So it's, I mean, you've already collected that money.
And that fee assumes that there would be one occupancy process. And so with the temporary and the need to come back out to site, there's actually two closings, if you will, or two to get to completion.
They do consume
but we're still charging the $1,050 plus the mechanical has to pull the permit, the plumbers have to pull permits. So,
Yep,
so we are collecting quite a bit of fees.
And I will talk a little bit about how these fees compare to the rest of the metro here, and towards the end of this presentation.
Okay.
But there is a considerable amount of staff time that goes into following up on the temporary certificates of occupancy, and additional trips, and that was the basis behind the proposal. Ultimately, this is up to City Council. So
but for sod, you just drive by, take a picture.
That's true. When it comes to following up on landscaping items, it is an additional trip to the site, and also the administrative time to track those down and generate the list and see that staff are getting out to do it. So it's some are more simple than others, but there is time that goes into all of them.
I'm not sure that I agree with that. I'm not sure why you can't have somebody snap a picture and enter into your new system, and you can see that the sod is down. I mean, if it's truly weather related, something that cannot be avoided.
Yep, that's
Okay.
Understood. Anna, could you advance, I think, 2 slides? I'll talk a little bit about the stakeholder engagement. If you go to the Permit and Development Center webpage today, you'll see at the very top of the page, there's a link to the proposed fees. That link has been out there for a little over a month now, and the document that it opens has been sent to a number of home builders, to the Home Builders Association, also to trades contractors, and also to demolition contractors that have done work here in Des Moines. Within that link, there is a way that you can submit comments directly to the city, and we've been collecting those for since towards the end of April. And what we found is that most of the feedback has been positive for the predictability. Many like the simplicity of just knowing that their permit fee is going to be X number of dollars. Linda, much like you had raised questions on we did receive a couple of questions about the temporary CO fee and how it would be applied. I think from two home builders asked questions about that. But in general, for the overall concept of going to flat rate residential permit fees, most saw that would be an improvement and that it would make our permitting system more simple. Next slide, please. So in working through this exercise, we also surveyed the neighboring communities. And what we found is that it's a little inconsistent in which communities charge flat rate fees for what, but we did notice some trends. So for the trades permits, for the smaller things like the fences and pools, flat rate fees are very common. And depending on the type of work, they range anywhere from $25 to $175. Others that are not quite as common, but do exist out there, are flat rate fees for things like decks and garages and home renovations. Those come with their own range of cost as well, at $40 to $210. And when it comes to the building permits for new homes, everyone in the Des Moines metro area right now charges those fees based on a calculation. So if we do go to a flat rate fee, we'll be the first in the metro area. However, we're not the first in the state. Our friends that work in the city of Cedar Rapids, they implemented a flat rate fee structure for new building permits for homes a few years ago, and they use a similar structure to ours, where they break it into 3 tiers and have a flat rate for each size of home. But what we did take a common home that we see, a 1,500 square foot, 1-story, about half of the basement finished, and a 3-car attached garage, and plug that into the other communities' fee calculators. And what we found is that the costs for the building permit fee for that home range anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600. And we're proposing $1,050. Now, each community does have some additional costs there for the trades permits. And what we found is that our proposed fees really fall towards the bottom end of that price range when we compared the building permits and the plumbing, electrical, mechanical permits. Now, some communities have some additional utility charges for sewer and water connection, where you see the range there for the building permits. Waukee falls towards the bottom end of that range, but they also have about an extra $2,000 in utility fees that are charged to connect to their sewer and water systems. So the the proposal does fall pretty well in line with everyone else and maybe towards the bottom end. So we're probably a little bit better deal if you compare our proposed flat rates to the other communities in the metro. But this is something that we're hoping to go live with Energov. And Anna, if you could advance to the next slide. This is wrapping up my presentation here. So in order to move this forward, you will see this as an agenda item on tonight's council agenda. And if approved, the way that the roll call is written, these proposed fees would become effective June 21st to be ready to go live with Energov. If there are concerns with some of the fees, I would ask that maybe an amendment be made rather than kicking the whole thing, rather than postponing the whole thing, because it would be extremely helpful if this proposal did go live with the Energov project. And that concludes my presentation. So I'd be happy to take any questions. Any other questions?
Any questions, anybody? I know you're not looking for a vote right now, Cody, but if anybody has any concerns about going live, could we talk about that right now?
Well, Mayor, this
Good.
is Linda, and I do still have concerns about water. I'm concerned about what may happen this summer if we run into water issues and we have to put a ban on watering of lawns, and how that will affect our new homes that, you know, would need to have sod put down. I would assume we would tell people, hey, don't put down sod until we get through our water crisis. So I would hope that we would be able to put in some sort of amendment that even says, you know, if we have to put a limit on watering of people's yards, that we would waive that temporary CO. You know, I would be agreeable to that. I'm not disagreeable to temporary CO fees. I mean, I think, you know, builders need to get their homes built.
Right.
But with the water crisis that we're in, we don't know what's going to happen later on this summer. We don't know what it'll be like in August or September.
Yeah,
So
Cody, can we work around that one?
Yeah, we could. One easy solution, if the council has concern with that temporary CO fee, is we could, if you wanted to, I see a couple of options. One would be to advance the fees with an amendment that temporary CO fee is not based on temp COs that are issued based on weather. So that would come into play in the summertime when it's hot, and also in the wintertime when the ground's frozen solid and the landscaping can't be done. Another option would be to advance all the fees except the temporary CO fee and come back and revisit that one at a future time.
Okay.
I kind of like option A. I mean, it's not that I'm against the fee for the temporary COs, but when it's water, when it's weather related due to a drought, then I don't think it's fair to charge people for the temporary COs.
Okay, Joe?
Mayor, thank you. And Cody, I think you said it best, and I'd like to see this move forward tonight. And you know, I mean, if the concern is weather related, I think that's an easy fix. I think you hit the nail right on the head. That you know, I mean, if it's weather related, I think the temporary CO should be waived, and I think that should be in the amendment tonight. that seems fair to everyone. And then we don't have to come back and revisit it. Everybody's on the same playing field as we introduce this, and they're not wondering what happens with that question. I think option A would be just fine. And if we were to look at that tonight, I would be supportive of that. Everything else looks really good. I think this simplifies things for the consumer and the builder. And good job taking a look at some of these things and bringing this forward. So thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, I think Joe and Linda hit it, but one thing I think I know residents would be pointing a finger at us, not knowing that the waterworks is a separate entity. They say, oh, you're not allowing us to use water, but now you're also going to charge us a temporary fee. I think that this option A that we're looking at answers quite a few questions and kind of saves the embarrassment of finger pointing by residents.
All right. Thanks, council. Anybody else? Cody, I don't see anybody else at the moment. Thank you for your presentation. This is good update on our permitting, and look forward to getting it going in June. Scott, any final remarks?
No, I really appreciate having clarity on that fee proposal so we can move that forward. And no, that's all we had for this morning. Thank you.
All right, everybody, thank you for your attendance, and staff, thanks for your hard work. And
Mayor, it looks like Carl has his hand up. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh,
Who's got a hand up?
It looked like Carl has his hand up.
I do. Thank you, Mayor and Joe. Just as a reminder, what time is our closed session this afternoon?
I think it's 3:30, is it not, Scott?
That's correct. It's K.
Okay, Kay. Thank you.
For the reminder. Appreciate it.
All right. All right. Sorry, Carl, I didn't see your hand up. Thank you. All right. Thank you all. We'll see council for a closed session at 3:30 and then our regular meeting to follow. Thank you all. Meeting's adjourned.